get into another conversation. But I enjoyed that one with the mobile people.
Of course.
They seem to have a lot of fun. And
So much fun.
Yeah, so we'll get into another conversation. We're looking, you remember yesterday, and very unfortunate story came up, you know, the student from Laboni Secondary School who had been assaulted by the senior housemaster. And there were various calls for GES to step in and deal with the situation and all of that. Well, we're going to be speaking with some people to find out what does the law actually say, what are the teachers permitted to do and not permitted to do, and you know, therefore, this situation, as it has happened, what are we expecting the authorities that be to do and to hand as this situation is being handled? Okay. Now, Jiva, I don't know what your initial thoughts are regarding this matter that actually happened.
If you ask me, I would say that I think the housemaster went a bit too far, because for whatever reason, there are other ways to met punishment to a student if he or she flaws the rules, disrespects you, or disobeys you, however. When I was in high school, we had punishments such as going to weed, scrubbing the bathroom, like other punishments that are beneficial to the school and the environment as a whole. So why would you rather abuse a student for disrespecting or flouting a school rule? I think that was a bit too harsh, and then we really need to look at it and talk about it, because the consequences of these actions further after the action has been done is also very important and crucial that we talk about and look at. So,
Well, we'll be joined by, we have on Zoom, Bright Appiah. He's the Executive Director for Child Rights International. And then we also have Divine Pe, who is a Senior Programs Officer with Africa Education Watch. Divine, good morning. Hello, Divine. Divine, good morning. Okay, it appears we have challenges hearing Divine on the line. But yeah, looking at this issue that, you know, transpired, I feel that the GS has a very strong role to play in the matter. It should not be left.
Right.
I think even one of the guardians or parents were talking about the fact that they don't trust the school to do a proper investigation, you know, without trying to shield their own person. Anyway, it looks like Divine is on the line with us. Divine, good morning.
Hello. Yes. Good morning.
Welcome to Breakfast Daily.
Thank you for having me.
So, just a quick comment on the incident that happened. What's your perspective at Africa Education Watch on this incident that happened?
All right. We're following the case, and especially the petition from the parents.
Yeah.
And we feel, yes, there's a need for an education service to go into the case and establish the facts for themselves, especially when it is about an assault on students, an alleged assault on a student. It's very important. Indeed, there are rules and regulations in our high schools that part of it prohibits sending mobile phones to school. But again, we have the code that actually spells out how you should go about disciplining a student who may have brought in an unapproved gadget to school. And if you look at the code, the approved sanction for an unprescribed item or gadget, in this specific case, mobile phone, is that one, you can either face a disciplinary committee, or two, the item will be confiscated, and then three, you sign a bond to be of good behavior. You know, at no point does it even ask that the child who is in a boarding house will be demonized, as we are hearing in the case, which for me is a major concern, because the child in this case is a final year student and will be preparing for the WASE. And the parents' main concern is also where the child commutes from to school as a result of being Kaswa all the way to Accra Academy is just a long distance. So I think even if we go by the the code of conduct. Deboardizing is not part of such a crime in quotes, a crime in quotes. So for me, I feel the school may not be biting more than what the prescribed disciplinary code has actually spelled out. And if we want to discipline our wards in senior high school, it's very appropriate that we go by what the Ghana Education has established in the code and not continue to use our arbitrary discretion. Otherwise, we'll go back to what we used to have. Previously, schools were having their own ways. Every school apparently was having their own way of disciplining a student. And then in the wisdom of the Ghana Education, they decided to harmonize it. So if we now have a harmonized disciplinary code, and then the code has not spelled out what you are doing, and you want to do what actually you want to do, then we are going back to what it used to be, and then that may be undoing the progress we have made by harmonizing the disciplinary code. So it's very important that the school, for me strongly, they reconsider their decision to debonize the student and take action to bring it back, especially if the child will have to prepare towards the in any form of discipline, the end result should not unduly disadvantage the child. As much as you are disciplining a child, you should consider the future. And in this case, the child will soon be writing what I say that that's the reason why the child came to school even in the first place. So if the child is in the final year preparing for what I say, no matter the offense, you should be very circumspect in your approach, such that it will not affect the child's chance of writing or passing his or her examination. So for me, I think the school would have to reconsider that particular decision. But on the whole, the petition, I think Ghana Education Service will have to treat it seriously and go into it.
Right. Yeah. So I think it's a very thorough breakdown of what you've given to us. We appreciate your thoughts on this one. Just quickly before we let you go, the corporal punishment. What is the state of the Ghana's legal regime regarding corporal punishment in school?
All right. We have a ban on corporal punishment in our pre-tertiary education schools from KG all through to senior high school. There's a ban on that, and teachers are highly aware of that. That there's absolutely ban on that, and teachers are to use positive discipline approaches when students have done something untoward. So teachers are rightly aware that there's a ban on corporal punishment, and still there's a struggle as to whether there should be a total ban, because teachers continue to feel that the ban is actually a takeaway of their power from them, and therefore that's why students continue to misbehave in school. So yes, we are still not have a consensus on whether the ban is appropriate or not. Some parents even feel that their award should be punished in ways that is even inhumane. Some of them even go to school to report their awards to school authority for them to be caned or any form of corporal punishment meted out to them. So there's still not a general consensus on whether the ban is accepted by the general population or not. Teachers are divided on that. Parents are also divided on that. But as it stands, the Ghana Education Service is the one responsible for implementing a policies on education. And once they have taken a decision that it is banned, in their own wisdom that it is banned, I think the most appropriate thing for teachers to do is to stick to what your employer has decided. Even if you don't go by, you don't agree that corporal punishment should be banned in school. Once your employer has taken that decision, I don't think you should go contrary to what your employer has spelled out. So it's very important that teachers begin to appreciate that it is Ghana Education Service that have employed them. If they said they don't want corporal punishment in schools, they, as much as possible, have to stick to it. But going forward, it's very critical that the Ghana Education Service, and including the National Teaching Council, take steps to enhance the capacity of teachers when it comes to using positive toolkits that they spelled out for teachers to use instead of corporal punishment. The positive way of disciplining a child is a new terrain for teachers. They have been used to corporal punishment over the years.
It's an easy one for them.
So if you now want to replace it with positive ways of disciplining child.
Yeah.
It's not enough for you to just issue a guideline in the system and expect that the teachers will take the guideline and be reading and then be equipped and stuff like that. No. There's a need for continuous professional development for them to enhance their capacity and even the first be intentionalize the ideology behind positive discipline for them to shift away from the idea of the corporal punishment. There's a need for you to help them to appreciate what there's a need for them to embrace the positive discipline other than the corporal punishment. You need to do that. Once they're able to embrace it, then automatically it becomes easier for them to implement in their school. So Ghana Education Service and National Teaching Council actually have a lot of work to do when it comes to enhance the capacity of teachers on positive discipline in our schools.
Now, Divine, I would like to ask you, in the sense where they've banned corporal punishment or a ban has been placed on corporal punishment, do you think that the new disciplinary actions being taken against students when they flout laws or rules and regulations in the school are an effective way to promote positive behavior or attitude?
All right. Yes, studies have shown that if positive disciplines are properly enhanced in school, number one, it even in a very way tries to prevent the occurrence of the disciplinary action in the first place, So positive ways of disciplining students, number one, the first idea is to even prevent the disciplinary action happening. If that is properly implemented, would have reduced significantly the indiscipline in our schools, because there are approaches that you should help students so that the idea of engaging in disciplinary acts would have been reduced in the first place. And then when one or two of them fall foul of it, then you can use other means to discipline them. We have restorative practices as one of them, and counseling is one of them, and even if not counseling, soft punishment, even like reading, and they are all there. I'm sure if they are well implemented in our schools, to a very large extent, we can address the issue of indiscipline. But right now, the positive ways of discipline kids is absolutely absent in a number of schools, from the basic level up to the secondary school, just because teachers have not yet embraced it. So there's steady that points to the good side of using positive way of discipline. But aside the very fact that it helps in school attendance, if a child comes to school and knows that school environment is not hostile, I will not be asked to kneel down for an hour or two. There will not be any physical pain inflicted on me as a result of the cane. The child wakes up and feels good to go to school, and then it directly links to the child's performance in academics, because once the child is regular in school, it means that the child can also perform well in school. So there's academic positive side of using positive discipline, and I think that's what we need to help our school community to appreciate in general.
Thank you very much,
Right.
Divine.
Thank you, Divine.
Yeah. So
Thanks for having me.
That's Divine Pe. He is the Senior Programs Officer with the Africa Education Watch. We also have Bright Appiah. He's Executive Director for Child Rights International, joining us on Zoom. Bright, good morning. Mr. Appiah.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, welcome to Breakfast Daily. Now, just really quickly, is Child Rights interested in this case?
It's a case against a child.
Yeah.
So no matter how you look at it, we will definitely have interest in it, and the extent to which it goes is what we would also come, because normally what we want to see is whether the state system, the system itself, is trying to resolve the matter, and if the system is also violating the right of the child, and that is where you see us coming in. So we are keenly monitoring how the state is responding to it, and then the things that they are doing to make sure that they restore the rights of the child.
Where are we now in this case? I know it's still early days yet, but as far as you know, in following it, I know that the parents are expressing concern about the internal committee of the school, investigating the case. They are asking the GES to step in. Where are we with the case so far? Do you have any insights on that?
Yeah, well, looking at how the system is, once a matter like this comes up, one of the weaknesses that we have is that the very system that punishes the child, we still use the same system to do investigations. And in our work, we realize that it doesn't come to any reasonable conclusion in terms of what it is for the child. And this is also because in most cases, our punishment regime or the disciplinary actions regimes that we have is more or less targeted at protecting the integrity of the school than to look at the right of children. So in most cases, the outcome of the report is skewed towards a certain direction. So children don't end up benefiting from it. So if the parent are expressing that kind of they are not trusting the very system that has really punished the child, then they are right. So calling in Ghana Education Service, per our experience, will not necessarily change anything so much. So what we need to do is to make sure that the right of this child, from any angle that we can fight it, we do so, because consistently, whatever the school committee will do is also inspired by the policies that have been put in place by Ghana Education Service. They are part of Ghana Education Service. So for that matter, you don't expect anything in terms of the outcome of the report. And I'm saying this because there's a number of reports that they've done in respect to some of these actions in the past, and you see the outcome of the committee's report, and then you compare it from that of the Ghana Education officials report. You don't see so much difference. So we are not expecting to see anything different in respect to that. But sometimes matters of this nature, we expect that a context would also be provided in administering the kind of punishment or the disciplinary action that you have to do. And that also should not take away the fact that children must also obey school rules and regulations.
Absolutely.
And once there's a violation of that, any prescribed punishment or disciplinary action must also accompany the violation of those rules and regulations. However, within our legislations, we have made it in such a way that when a child is going through a certain process of disciplinary action or punishment, whether the child has committed a crime or has also committed any civil violations, there are certain processes that must be that we have to put in place. And one of the key things that should not be taken away from the child is the child's right to education, health, and the leisure. So these three rights cannot be denied the child, irrespective of the kind of punishment regime that you have or any disciplinary action that you have in respect to dealing with this particular matter. So where the actions of the school denies the child the right to education, and the right to education is not only about making it accessible, it is also a way of creating a conducive environment that support learning for the child. So you combine all this before you are able to take a certain decision. So to say that we have demonized the child without necessarily taking consideration into the distance that the child will come to come to school, then all those things must come to play before you take that decision.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. Thank you, Bright Appiah. Bright Appiah is the Executive Director for Child Rights International. And we've been discussing the issue of the Labone school student who was allegedly assaulted and debordernized. So he's no longer a boarder at the school and has to traverse from Kaswa to Labone every day as a final year student writing his final exams.
Could time didn't permit as well. I was really keen or interested in asking him from his end how these rules or regulations are done, and considering punishments meted to students in school. But anyway, we hope that we are able to talk about this further or later on sometime on the show.